Dr. Dan here, and I guide students to be smart about higher education and live a life that matters. This is the second video in a five-part series called Be Smart, and the title of this one would be Why Are You Going Anywhere, Somewhere, or Nowhere? We want to lock in on going somewhere, having a particular destination to go to, not just be kind of floating around out there and not going anywhere or just anywhere or nowhere. So Mark Twain is attributed with a quote. Some dispute that, whether it was his or not, but the quote says that the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. This video is a little bit about trying to target in on that why. So if you find out your purpose, there's somehow or other it's going to be related to helping other people. It could be direct or indirect. So for example, some of the most wonderful things helping humanity were done in a laboratory, not by some extrovert or some person that was this outgoing, talkative person. But life has a lot of curves that it throws at us. So there's a lot of wonderful things out there finding your purpose, but there's also a lot of curves. So there's obstacles in the road. So how do you overcome those? Some of the whys that we get in life are unanswerable questions. So for example, if we ask ourselves good questions, our brain works hard at answering those questions. If we ask bad questions or questions that are unanswerable, it kind of goes into like this computer freezing. Everybody, if they've worked on a computer at one point or another, it freezes up. And that's the reason is because it can't answer all the load that's put on it or the questions that you're asking or the things you're asking it to perform. So it kind of just freezes. You got to stop it, reboot, and start over again. Same way with us. You got to stop and reboot and quit asking the unanswerable questions. So tragedy, death, or health problems, or loss of a loved one, some of those things are just unanswerable questions that you've got to be thinking in terms of, okay, how can I not freeze over this and stop asking an unanswerable question in a question like, what good can come out of this? How can I overcome this in a positive way? And that's hard to do. It's not minimizing it. It's hard to do, but it can be done. So freezing like that and asking the wrong why question leads to what I believe contributes to post-traumatic stress disorder. Everybody's heard of the PTSD, and there are people that are put in circumstances that get that PTSD, and this isn't minimizing them or downplaying their experience. But there's also the flip side to that, where people go through tragic situations and difficult circumstances, and they come out with a condition called PTG, or post-traumatic growth. That's where they went into this situation, they grew because of it, and they come out of there feeling 10 foot tall and bulletproof because they feel that if I overcame that, I can overcome just about anything. So we want to have the right attitude that kind of creates some walls and barriers against PTSD and makes us more conducive to PTG, or post-traumatic growth. And there's even another condition called post-ecstatic growth, where I kind of self-induce some situations to stretch me beyond what I think I can do, and it helps me grow in that regard. So for example, for me it was a triathlon. So jumping in the water was not comfortable for me. It was not a thing I wanted to do, but it stretched my limits, helped me in what I believe some post-ecstatic growth, and just helped me bump up the different distances in the races, and now I feel more confident about those things. What used to be really insurmountable to me is possible. So that's what that happens. And so I turned from just surviving the swim in a triathlon to thriving. I can go in there with confidence and say, okay, I know I can do this. I'm still not some great swimmer, but I know I can do this. And I don't care what it is for you. It doesn't have to be some triathlon or some monumental thing. It could be the smallest thing. Maybe you just need to go up one step on the ladder to start overcoming that fear of heights. And then the next week, it's 2 steps, or the next day, it's 2 steps, and just get comfortable up there, working on the ladder 2 steps. Gradually, you will overcome that fear of heights. You can overcome that fear of heights. It may not be that simple for you, but sometimes it is. It really is that simple. To look at such a situation of a guy that's turned surviving into thriving, you want to look up a guy named Nick Vujicic. I get his name. It doesn't look like, it isn't spelled the way it's pronounced, but it's Nick Vujicic. And if you YouTube him, you see this guy, he has no limbs, no arms, and he's thriving in life. Did he always? No. He had a lot of emotional barriers to overcome to get to where he is today. Does he still have barriers? Yes, he still has barriers. He still has challenges. But he's making the most. He's making lemonade out of lemons. He's playing the hand that he's been dealt. And that's what we all have to do, no matter our circumstances. So with a meaningful why, you'll find out how you're going to do something. So another guy, Viktor Frankl, he wrote a book called The Meaning of Life, and he survived the Nazi death camps. And he was a psychologist, and he observed other people. And he observed the people that survived those death camps mentally, emotionally, and they all got beat up physically. But the ones that just died had nothing to live for. And he has a little quote that goes, "Those who cannot see an ultimate goal in life for existence end up not having a life." So we want to have a life. We want to have existence. We want to know why we're here. What's our purpose for this world? But likewise, we need to know why we're going to a particular college, why we're even going to college in the first place. So first, let's talk about what's the consequences of an unclear why. Many students are taking an average of 6 years to complete a 4-year program. 65%, I believe, is the percentage. Another consequence would be you're spending money for those extra 2 years, and again, that's the average, just 6, so it could be 7 and 8. You're spending money, but you're not making the money. So you may be spending $20,000 and losing $20,000 from a job that you could have making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year. So it kind of might double itself. You come out of school with excessive debt because of going those extra years. You may have enough debt as it is going for 4 years. By the way, we can talk about that in some future videos about how you can get out of school, go through school, and not have those debts or minimize that debt. And so you are forced into an unwanted job. Now you got to take a job that you may not really want, but you got to take this job that's higher paying. It's not what your dream job is. It's higher paying so that you can afford to start paying the debt down. But that debt limits you for the future. It might limit your choice of a spouse. It may limit your ability to buy a home for 10, 15, 20 years. That may not be a reality for you. So your recreation, your vacations, all those things add up because you didn't know why you were going to college and you didn't know why you were taking certain courses. So you get into this, what we could call an old Greek mythology story about Sisyphus. Sisyphus was this guy that did some wrong things, or he was a god that did some wrong things, and he got destined to push this boulder up a hill to the top of this hill, only for it to roll back down and have to do it all over again for eternity. That's what seemingly does. We die, but some people in life they're in a Sisyphus dilemma where they're pushing this rock up in their life and they've just kind of given up. They're just doing it over and over again and they're not fulfilled in what they're doing. It doesn't have to be that way. You might have made some terrible mistakes and some things that you have to overcome, but you can overcome these things and you can get better. You can answer those why questions and get good answers for them, and ask good questions to get answers from your mind, working on good answers. So knowing your why helps pick the college that you're going to. Knowing your why helps enrich courses. So for example, if I have to take, or I have an elective that's in the coursework for marketing, and I'm an engineer, what do I got to do with marketing? What do I care about marketing? Well, I care about marketing because if I lock in and ask, why am I taking this course? And maybe I have to take these electives. So I take the marketing course to engineer my product to sell easier. I buy Hondas because the engineers were thinking about me changing my own headlights and my taillights. They're really easy to do. The in-cabin filters, they're really easy to change. Some cars, they're nightmares. You have to take it to the dealership to get the headlights changed if a light bulb goes out. So Honda engineers were thinking marketing when they did that. I buy Hondas because of that fact. I'll take a psychology course to improve my psychological state and to help understand other people better. Doesn't matter what field I'm in, I've got to deal with people. So an accounting course would help me run my own business if I ever chose to do that. So all courses can be relevant, and you can have a meaningful why to the job that you're in. And that makes all the difference in the world. That spills over to a meaningful why in your life, as a spouse, as a parent. So you want to have a transcending cause to be helping others. And that meaningful why in your life asking that right question and knowing why you're here, for your purpose, for your college, for your courses that you take, for your life in general is just so important. Now I encourage you can do this. That's what I do. I encourage you to do these things. So tune into these videos. If you like this video, you think it can help others, pass it on, forward it to your friends, like it, make some comments. Tell me what you think. Are you going anywhere? Are you going nowhere? Are you going somewhere in your life? And just let me know how that's working. Are you in the Sisyphus dilemma? And if you want to tune in, or if you want to go online, you can find an article that I wrote on this more in depth on an e-Zine article. I'll list the link to that too. So this is Dr. Dan, and I encourage you, know where you're going with your life. Become the person you were destined to be and make a difference in the world.